Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and today we are here with Wrath, Aeon of Ruin, which is one of the more confusing titles because Aeon, Wrath of Ruin sounds a lot more, it flows a little bit better. So, today, I'm not going solo, we of course have, and we're here to take a look. I can't even spell my own name. There we go. And today, we're here to take a look at a game that is more or less a modern-day interpretation of Quake. Now, I had heard about this game like a couple of months ago, but I didn't know they were this close to actually having a well, they have a working product because I bought it. This is the GOG version here. I did not know they were this far along in development that there's actually something to play. I had thought that it was going to be, you know, like a while before we even got this. And this kind of reminds me of Quake, but we also have the knife arm, which is kind of cool. Kind of. And the level design looks pretty good. I've only played about maybe 5 minutes worth of this game just to make sure it worked. Quake is one of those games that I actually played a little bit of it last week when I was trying to, you know, not immediately die as soon as I got home from working 10 hours straight. That game still holds up pretty well, but I gotta say, actually finishing that game is much more difficult than you might think. Because, like, the first episode, it's, you know, pretty hard, but you can generally figure out where you're supposed to go. But that second episode really ramps up the difficulty. And I find myself just kind of saying, fuck it, moving on. Really? Okay. Okay, they can hear me, but they can't hear desktop audio for some reason. Oh. Okay. Let's do that. Okay, now we got desktop audio, I think. And chat ought to go through... Now, wait a minute. Hold on. No, I don't want advanced. Please wait while we try to get things to work. Because nothing's ever easy. Especially with a modicum... Okay, this must be for that. So they should be able to hear you now.
Okay.
Okay,
hopefully
say something.
they can.
Yeah.
Apparently saying something right now.
Yeah, I can see the audio bars moving up and down. Okay, I don't know why the... Oh, I bet I know why it's not working right. Just because I have been messing around with the audio. Let's turn the in-game audio down just a little bit more. Just in case. Because I recently got some new headphones, and finding headphones is not an easy prospect. It's like ones that don't... Because, like, even if you spend a lot of money, it's hard to find ones that actually have really good audio quality.
Sennheiser costs Aerodynamic, Audio-Technica, and that's outside of spending big bucks. I would stop it there.
I never even heard of any of those. I actually ended up getting some Sound Blaster headphones. They were like $30, and they're actually pretty good, surprisingly enough. That's why it's got the big SB on the side. I didn't even know Sound Blaster existed anymore. I would have thought that would have died out.
Creative Labs are still around.
That's just... I found it kind of cool and kind of weird that that still existed, you know, today.
Well, these days they don't produce as many audio cards. They mostly produce DACs. And tech, it's been rough, man. It's been okay, but can do better.
And I've had to work for 10 hours a day every day this week. Well, except for Thanksgiving, thankfully. It's kind of hard going back to work after having a day off. And knowing you can be stuck there for 10 hours. It's like... Hey.
Is that right, Nick? Holy shit, I've talked to you forever.
He has finally gotten over a bad case of Taco Bell.
Ooh. Well, a lot more than just that, but
The
yeah.
man, the myth, the legend.
The utter disappointment.
But you're our utter disappointment.
Hey, but then what am I?
You felt
Not a disappointment.
No, your success story. The General Lotz story. Coming soon to VH1.
Oh god,
And
no.
by the way, if you've been like me and don't eat fast food ever, don't make the mistake of starting. That was really horrible. I don't wish that on anybody.
You know, not to be gross, but I did have some Whataburger yesterday. Let's put it this way.
Whataburger is an exception. They're usually pretty safe.
Even with that, though, it's like... I actually can make this joke, but that's not what caused it to break. Let's put it this way. After eating one Whataburger hamburger for Thanksgiving, because we decided not to have any Thanksgiving turkey on the actual day. Although I did have some today, but let's put it this way. After that, the toilet broke. That's not really what caused it to break. The flapper arm broke, but still, it sounds funny.
Right.
Because, damn.
In the case of Taco Bell, I broke.
Oh god.
Let's see, now I will actually mute my phone. I always forget to do that.
I can finally sympathize with Spoonie's horrible incident with, Long John Silver's.
Oh, it's okay, Lotz. During our Evil Dead review, I forgot to mute my PC Messenger sound, so all I got was bleep, bleep, bleep. I tried to edit them out. It was a pain in the ass.
Wow, that is annoying.
Ouch.
And so far, this is pretty good. The only thing I don't like about this game so far is the fact that you have to pick up an artifact to quick save, and it's like,
I'll be right back.
Alright.
Yeah, they're kind of doing that to stop the saves coming. I'm pretty sure somebody will mod it to where you don't have to.
I don't know why people don't like save scumming. I mean, that's what we used to do all the time back in the day. It's like, that's a viable way of playing the game. But
It sort of is, but sometimes there is something to be said about Iron Manning it.
I suppose, but that's more of a self-imposed challenge, I would think, though.
Yeah, that's completely self-imposed. No, outside of XCOM, nothing's going to force you to Iron Man it.
You see, like, for me, when it comes to save scumming, it's like, well, sometimes you just want to stop playing for a little while for whatever reason, and you want to start up again, so that's why I don't like checkpoints, because you can lose so much progress.
Quick saves are definitely nice for games like that.
Ooh, we got a pretty cool-looking little devil girl. And speaking of break-action rifles and shotguns, The Mandalorian. Now, Rain, you have not seen Mandalorian because you hate Disney, correct?
I'm going to wait for it to completely have its run. If they screw it up, I don't want to, give myself false hope. I do despise Disney, but that being said, it is not impossible for Disney to make something good. It's just really unlikely.
Well, Mandalorian is pretty good, and Jedi Fallen Order is a perfectly serviceable Sekiro/Dark Souls reskin. I mean, that is basically
Which is
what
why I'm waiting on both EA and Disney to mess it up somehow. When I say this, I'm not saying this from skepticism. We've seen Ubisoft mess up perfectly fine games that they didn't even pay to make. They basically just licensed. Like Trackmania Nations. They messed that up pretty hard. And it cost them more money to mess it up than it did just to leave it alone.
Why am I not surprised? You gotta love being able to auto-update games. Because, like, right now, Jedi Fallen Order is pretty bloody good. Although I haven't had a chance to really play it. This week I've primarily just played more of Dark Souls 3 and Far Cry 3. Because I want to do another playthrough of that. Far Cry 3 still holds up, but I think Far Cry 3... I think in some places they tried a little too hard. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's Ubisoft for a nutshell.
And the story... Now that there's more expressive animations, everyone's so twitchy in games now. It's like... They've got to, like, over-emote on everything. And games are very fond of people, like, looking around, like really fluidly. It's like when you're talking to somebody, do you just do this? It's like
I don't gesticulate like a madman when I talk, but military bearing.
Occasionally. No, I'm kidding.
it's like I get that you have really smooth animations, but it just looks so silly sometimes. And Far Cry 3 is very fond of like putting people in your face. It's like just whoa, personal space, please.
Well, that's been a thing since it's not an Ubisoft thing. That's been a thing since Bethesda decided, hey, wait, we need conversations to zoom right in on a character.
That's somewhat understandable. I just assume that's more or less. Actually, I've still got to figure out the controls for this game because I haven't played it that much. I figure that's more like artistic license more than anything else.
No, it's really just a lazy framing device. It's a way for a creator to say, okay, we know you've got some degree of control. We're taking that away now, and we want you to stare at this. We've spent millions of dollars on this. We want you to stare at it. We don't want you to miss it.
KOTOR 1, despite being really old, did a pretty good job about that. They had limited camera angles, but what camera angles they did have actually looked pretty fluid, and they didn't over-emote in that game. Although what I do find hilarious is some of the recycled animations where they do this, because when you're talking, you just move the one finger. And happy Thanksgiving, Ross, dude.
Happy Turkey Coma Day.
Oh god, slight traces of woke. No! I don't want to know. I want to know. I'm going to watch it sometime tonight. The first 3 episodes were great. I can't imagine they could screw it up in 4 episodes. I mean, come on.
Yeah, about that. Here's why I'm not giving myself false hope. Ryan Johnson has expressed an interest of directing a few episodes.
It's gonna be one of those things, isn't it?
This is why I'm saying, wait till it's done, then you make your evaluation.
Now, I wonder if they could have got JMS to do it, if what a Mandalorian series would look like.
Straczynski? I would like to see that happen, but it would be dark.
Star Wars can do dark. I mean, right now I'm rereading Darth Bane: Path to Destruction. That is one of the darker books in the Star Wars EU.
Bane ain't exactly a happy tale.
No, I actually look at it as like a dark reflection of Luke's hero's journey. I mean, Darth Bane is more or less a hero for the Sith. So,
insofar as they can have a quote-unquote hero.
See, for me, the Sith have never made much sense, though. I mean, how do you have a... How does it even work as, like, a government or anything?
It doesn't. That's why they have the rule of 2.
Yeah, but even then, it's like... I guess it's one of those things where you've got to look at it, just got to repeat yourself, it's just a fiction franchise. It's like, what if both of them get food poisoning or something? Then there's your Sith Order. Bye-bye.
No, there's always going to be pretenders to the throne and usurpers, but...
Yeah, you get Ventress. Or, before the end of the original EU, you had, of course, that one Iridonian guy. What was his name? It's a stupid name, too. It's not as bad as Morbad, but it's almost that bad. What was his name?
Yeah, oh crap.
I think it was like... It might as well have been Loot and Plunder from Captain Planet. It was something like that. It was like... Evil Bad Man or something along those lines.
Really hung a lampshade on that one.
Yeah, I mean, like, why? Why, oh why? And Karen Travis could have done pretty good. And they did change the Mandalorian's origins, that is for sure. I mean, what was so wrong with calling them clans? Why did they have to change the name? The Mandalorian clan?
Oh.
This entire planet, it's an entire tribalized planet, so...
No, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, it's just a name. I do like the Yo Baby. The Yo Baby is awesome. And I really...
that's part of the reason why I'm skeptical, because that really reeks of me like, yeah, this is a save our ass maneuver.
Well, they kind of need something like that, especially after Last Jedi, and I'm sure Rise of Skywalker's not going to do any better.
Oh, I don't want to watch that. I really don't want to watch that.
I'm going to definitely be waiting until it comes out on some sort of digital media, because, yeah. And of course, you might just download a cam rip and just look at the back of the guy's head. That's going to be more entertaining.
Tech, COPPA. COPPA's interesting. They're screwing things around big time. Right now, they're doing like anything game related. And this is really funny. This is the polar opposite. You really actually want to mark your videos as, you know, not fit for, you know, children, and actually use some degree of profanity. Don't go full tilt, you know, full gonzo out there. But you pretty much have to, so you don't end up risking falling part of the COPPA trap. Because if you just mark your video as, you know, not fit for children, and let's say you're covering, I don't know, PUBG. We'll pull that one straight out of my rear end, because that's really where it belongs. It's right out of someone's rear end and in the toilet. If you just do that, then you've got a real problem, because they can mark it for children. I.e., you might have marked it yourself, oh, it's unfit for children, and they'll still say, oh, well, it's for all audiences, so we're going to stick, you know, a horrible kid quote-unquote friendly, using massive quotation fingers here, videos off on the sidebar.
That's a good thing. There's usually some manner of profanity, but you know what I should totally do when I do KOTOR? Either in December or in January, depending on how the time works out. I should just literally start it up. I walk onto frame and just say, cunt. And then, now that I've ensured this is no longer for children, let's begin.
Oh, if you want, I can just give you like a 5-minute tirade of nothing just but the vilest, insulting profanity you've ever heard. I go back to my wrestling days, and it's just like, okay, how would a promoter make fun of somebody who's really kind of half-hearting it in the ring? Okay.
You could save that for the review of Rise of Skywalker, The Last Skywalker. Should they all be dead now, seeing as how Luke died?
Well, if we're going by the spoilers, yeah, it's going to get horrible.
Are they going to bring back Anakin as a zombie now?
No, it's far more insulting than that. Test screenings have had people walk out in disgust.
Oh wait, I got it. Okay, so they bring back Luke, but it's a female version of Luke named Luca Skywalker. There we go.
No. Thankfully, they don't bring in any new characters, but what they do with the old characters is disgusting, and what they're doing with a certain Sue of the Mary persuasion is even worse.
Oh god, no. That's why I don't consider any of that canon. I consider none of it even remotely.
It's not. It completely ignores canon. It is the most expensive fanfic ever put to film.
Yeah, but it's not even a good fanfic. I've read some good ones. Like that one where Darth Revan and Anakin team up to fight the Yuuzhan Vong. It was complete crap. Okay, it wasn't complete crap, but it was kind of canon. It was kind of canon bending in that one. But at least it wasn't that horrible.
There's a difference between bending something over your knee and breaking it, and, well, Disney's take just shatters it into a million pieces and snorts the remains.
Yeah, pretty much. And DV Kest Boy, you've been watching since the JP Arcade video? My god. That is a long bloody time ago. That's over a decade ago! My god,
yeah.
I'm old.
Long-time viewer, awesome.
Because that's like... That's when I was still using that very first gaming computer I ever bought. Which had an ASRock motherboard, a 250 gigabyte hard drive, and it was an NVIDIA card of some description, but it was such an old NVIDIA card that it didn't even have a fan on it, just a heatsink.
And tech about COPPA. Right now, YouTube is technically facing a lawsuit with IG Metall and the YouTubers Union, so things are going to get interesting really quick.
Okay, this is actually a pretty epic weapon. We're literally shooting fangs at enemies. It is a fang-launching machine gun.
Bone shards ahoy.
Oh no, god damn it. Return to the soul tether, return to shrine, or restart level. How about we just return to the soul tether? The soul tether, man! Let's see. I'll try BitChute, but that's the problem, though. It's like, YouTube has the market share that none of those others have, so I would go from a fairly... I've got a fairly decent audience, but still fairly small. And I'd go from that to, like, almost non-existent. Go from, like, you know, several hundred people to, like, 10.
Well, here's something you can do for BitChute. I would actually make backups of your videos onto BitChute.
I suppose I could do that. I don't even know anything about BitChute. Like, if they have, like, time limits or things like that. It's because I have some fairly long videos.
Oh, no, they don't have time limits, but it eventually, you know, being peer-to-peer, it will decay, but you get, it's a good way to build up. And if you're going to chase BitChute, I'd recommend just interstitial, smaller videos on certain topics, and have the lengthier videos on here. That way, probably have a pretty good crossover.
I suppose I can do that. Well, I am doing some shorter ones since KOTOR is taking up all my time. That is a long-ass game, even if you avoid all the side quests.
Yeah, they gave you a lot for your money.
That's one thing I really like about KOTOR. It's that it's not open world, but then again, it's a fairly large world, and there's an actual substance to what's in there. It's nowhere near as big as a Bethesda game, but Bethesda games are fairly basic in literally everything they do. Whereas
depends. Like old Bethesda games, not so much. After Morrowind, yeah, they got really simple. I mean, I can blow through. Okay, this is unfair. I can blow through most Bethesda RPGs, and if I'm not going side content, in anywhere from 8 to 12 hours.
And even then, you know, they don't really have the same level of character. Well, that's not Bethesda, though. I was going to say New Vegas has good characters, but that doesn't count. Yeah. Now, I've not played Outer Worlds yet. To be honest, it doesn't look that amazing to me.
It's boilerplate, but at least it's decent boilerplate.
Damn. I need a soul tether when I get in there. 31, wow. Older than I am. Okay. Kinds of shady crap. I know nothing about BitChute other than, like, in ranges on it. Daily Motion, I don't even... They still exist?
Yeah.
Yeah,
How?
and this is going to sound really weird, but I don't recommend this. But if you're looking for, you know, want to see the older wrestling shows, generally a good idea.
Like, well, like, when it comes to stuff like that, though, are there any DVDs or Blu-rays of those shows?
You could have the subscription services, and yeah, there are certain... WWE doesn't do it so much anymore, but they used to, you know, DVDs, pay-per-views.
Yeah. Well, save money where you can. That's what I always say. I mean, pay extra for everything. Pay 3 times the price.
You don't have to. I mean, the WWE network isn't that expensive, actually. It's not that bad.
I see. Well, still.
I just wish that there was a network for New Japan. Well, there sort of is for New Japan, but I mean a better network for New Japan and for the smaller indie scene stuff.
It's like, I never got into wrestling, even because, like, it never really appealed. The only thing even remotely wrestling related I watched was, well, The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, which was a horribly depressing film.
But it was really well done.
Yeah,
But
it was very well done.
It was still
But not a feel-good movie at all.
No.
If you want a decent comedy, check out Ready to Rumble.
It's both good in terms of it's entertaining, and it's also bad because that was pretty much what killed WCW condensed.
There's actually a weird novel based upon one of those WW things, where like the wrestlers are secret agents and they had to fight crime or something. I remember seeing that at a Walmart.
That sounds patently awful.
I saw it at a Walmart many years ago, and I can never remember the title of it, but I've always wanted to review that because it sounds horrible, and yet I can't help but want to look at that. Can you imagine, like, this was probably circa 2004, so I don't know who was doing what then. I don't know if John Cena was even a thing back then.
Yeah, he was just getting started. It was a ruthless aggression era.
Like, can you imagine John Cena as a secret agent?
Back then, no, because he wasn't making the millions he was now, and he was pretty much spending most of his time in the gym or in the ring.
Oh, then who was popular back then?
04, you had Undertaker was finishing up his major televised runs, kind of killing off the American Badass character. You had Kurt Angle right before he went on to TNA. He was finishing up.
So can you imagine any of them being a secret agent for the government?
No, because they stick out like a sore thumb.
Wait, what secret agent movie with John Cena? What?
No.
It's not a movie. It's basically just a running gag as somebody wrote a book that, wrestler doubling as a secret agent all in the sly. It's like, dude, that goes against everything a wrestler is. A wrestler is supposed to be easily recognizable. You should know their shtick.
That's what Van Damme did on that Amazon series. It's like Jean-Claude Van Johnson.
We would never.
It's actually a pretty funny show. I especially love when he was doing some action movie version of Huck Finn as a cover-up for his Firearms.
Yeah, if a wrestler doubling as a secret agent, I'm sorry, that means that the wrestler has no appeal whatsoever and is not putting asses in seats. That's the exact opposite you want out of a wrestler. You want a wrestler to be bombastic, to connect with the crowd.
All I remember from John Cena was he did that Marine movie. It was like a ridiculous action movie.
Oh, the Marine series is horrible, but it's worth watching just for popcorn flick worthiness.
Do it. There we go. That's one other thing about this game that somewhat annoys me. Just have load or start game. You don't need to have, like, return and depart and crap like that.
Epic Jason's wondering if he can get in.
I think I'm just going to stick it with the three of us just so we can just, sort of talk back and forth. I'll have more people join next time. Which one's me? Oh, there we go. Return and depart and crap like that. Oh, I got all the Shadow of the Empire figures. I have most of them. Although not many of them. Shadow of the Empire Switch port? Is that really even necessary? Okay,
kind of interesting.
I can already say this game needs a little clearer saving and loading because, yeah. Oh, well, what's the difference between an autosave and a soul tether? You would assume that
soul tether is just a checkpoint.
There we go.
For Thanksgiving, I ended up watching Escape from New York and Universal Soldier.
That's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad.
Yeah, one of those was good. There we go.
Both of them are good.
Both are entertaining, but I don't know about say both are good.
Universal Soldier, you don't think it's good?
No, I think Universal Soldier's good.
You don't like Escape from New York?
Okay, here's the thing. I like it and I loathe it.
Oh.
It's not a good movie as in terms of objective good. It is a very entertaining movie. It makes it worth your time. It entertains you.
Donald Pleasance as the president.
But then again, I'm one of the few people that also enjoy Escape from LA. I don't care how cheesy it is.
Yeah, I follow that in the same category. It is objectively not a good film, but it's a very entertaining film.
There's actually Escape from New York comics now.
No, I think LA is an intentional comedy. I think they're sort of making fun of action movie sequels.
Part of it's intentional, part of it's not.
Hollywood,
kind
of shoehorned.
Like an objectively good movie that's a high bar. I'm going to be absolutely honest. A lot of the movies we enjoy, that the pop culture enjoy, and that geekdom enjoys, are not objectively good movies. Objectively good movies, you're talking like Citizen Kane, you're talking Seventh Seal, you're talking some really heavy, important historically movies.
Yeah,
but they're not exactly super entertaining movies.
But when a movie like, say, Alien applies like a really...
Alien's both, because it shows that horror still has teeth, and this is how you do it.
I'd actually contend that Aliens deserves more horror props than it gets, just because they don't really demystify the xenomorph in any way, and it's still a major threat. Everyone always talks about, oh, they got guns and everything, but that doesn't really do them much good most of the time.
Yeah, that's a...
Yeah, dead is dead. They're coming throughout the goddamn walls.
Yeah, that's a lot of shit. That's why Hudson's all cocky at the beginning, and then he's freaking out midway through the movie.
Yeah. So it's like, I still feel like
Alien shows how you do a survival action movie. It is good. Now, when we start talking anything else Alien related, I'm going to have to lay the hammer down and say, no, none of them are objectively good. They can be entertaining, but they're not good.
Like Alien Resurrection.
What the hell is that beat?
That was the alarm system.
The xenomorphs are escaping! I told you not to cheap out on the locks! Just because you can get Chinese locks for half the price doesn't mean you should do it!
No. My doors and alarm systems are American-made.
Although I could make a horrible joke. Are you sure they're American-made, or are they made in China and assembled in America?
I go with a local chain when it comes to alarms, and the doors I can guarantee are made in America because I contacted the manufacturer.
Well, okay, that works. Oh crap, stop shooting me, you fucking
And
ripoff.
tech, for BitChute, I generally go with people I know. When I'm on BitChute, I'm going for a very focused thing. Like, I'll go with Styx Hexenhammer, I'll go with, Razor Fist, I'll go, Forgotten Weapons. If I'm there on a mission.
You see, that's the problem, though. It's like, one thing that's good about YouTube is you can just sort of find random crap you wouldn't even thought to have looked up.
Yes and no, but YouTube also recommends literal crap to me. YouTube right now in my sidebar thinks that I am from Vietnam, that I speak Farsi, and that I'm really obsessed with sewing tutorials. Now granted, I do like sewing. I do help people cosplay, I don't mind sewing. But I don't need to know how to make a ball gown.
Oh, why not? It'd be like the greatest thing.
I don't know anybody who'd wear it.
Well, you could mix it with the Mandalorian armor. You could go as the married Mandalorian.
So, Raynick, have you seen Cherry 2000?
Not yet. It's on the list.
Oh, let me tell thee of a saga.
Wait, no, can't get too many spoilers because we have to review that baby.
Well, okay, then I'll just say this. It's the 80s personified, and it's something that can only be done in the 80s. The basic plot is,
it's high art, goddammit.
Wait, what?
It's high art.
It's high art, damn it.
I'm not so sure about that, but...
It's the most asinine plot, but it's also an action-adventure movie, which makes it awesome.
Okay, so you've got the hero. He has to trek across the destroyed lands of, I assume, Southwest America?
Maxville.
And he has to fight an evil cult. And he also has to try to find a holy relic. Because his sex robot broke. The entire plot is kicked off by a sex robot shorting out because they're snogging in some dishwater.
Oh, there's major fetishes.
So yeah.
Well, they don't make her model anymore, so.
Noob Cybot. Let's see. Anything illegal? So basically, Mad Max, but sex robot. I'm not even joking. Also,
His priorities.
1960s era Mustang can tank multiple RPG shots. Because
It's a tough old bird, but it ain't that tough.
because 80s. Although, you know, that reminds me of something. I saw a video once on the RPG being shot at a Toyota, and the RPG just went straight through it and didn't actually explode. So I'm wondering if that's... Well, you don't see any holes in the car, but still. I'm wondering if you could, like, justify it in that way. Like, it didn't have... It just went straight through and didn't actually explode.
Well, a Toyota truck I can understand because that entire tailgate section is hollow. There's pass right through. I can make a 308 round pass through that. But there's not much hollow outside of the passenger compartment on a Mustang.
Yeah, so, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm thinking too much into... Putting too much thought into a film about a sex robot.
Ross, dude, actually, technically can. If it's hit in an oblique angle, the RPG will skid across it.
The hell is this? Where am I?
Well, the greatest offense a good or B movie can make is being boring, and that movie sure as fuck wasn't boring.
No, it was not. It was weird, though. It's one of those weird 80s movies that if you're not expecting it, it's going to be very... All I can do is just say weird. Because it's a competent action film, all in the pursuit of a sex robot. And it's got Molly Ringwald as a bounty hunter kind of thing.
There have been some weird movies made post-90s. I mean, Six String Samurai is a great example.
That's not an 80s film?
No, it's 90s. Well, no,
It's Melanie
late
Griffith,
90s.
not Molly Ringwald.
Oh, I don't know. It's one of those. One of
Molly
those.
Ringwald, isn't that a little young for that era?
I have no clue. I just know her from Family Guy.
I just know the director did that movie, and then he did Miracle Mile, and that was it.
And so that reminds me of a movie I haven't seen in over 20 years called Zachariah. It's basically a cowboy film about a cowboy with a electric guitar for some reason, and I forget what the plot is. Other than I like the name, and I like the idea of an electric guitar playing cowboy on top of that. I assume it is probably equally as weird as Cherry 2000. No! Do I have any grenades? Ah, fuck it, I'll just reload. Yeah, there's no way to actually reload from the save here. It's very annoying. Let's just reload at the shrine. Oh yeah, the Cybertruck! I saw that. An electric truck. I gotta tell you though, I've actually seen a number of Teslas driving around, and they all have personalized plates, it seems, and they all are making fun of not having to use gas. I don't know if that comes standard with the car, or if everyone who buys a Tesla just likes to show off that they have a Tesla, but...
It's the latter. I mean, Michelle has one, and the only thing she has is a few Pokemon bumper stickers on the back of hers.
Well, that's good at least.
And Dailymotion's pretty safe.
And speaking of nerdiness, the previous weekend I went to a gaming con that had a shitload of really awesome arcade machines. And, not only arcade machines, but also, okay, can't save with that. But also a bunch of old old consoles as well. And I finally got to play the Atari 8-bit computer version of Donkey Kong, which is actually very close to the arcade original. Remarkably close.
Yeah, I think it's still missing the pie level, but really the concrete level, but everybody calls it the pie level.
I finally got to play a actual Neo Geo, AES. Someone brought one of those, but they only had one game, and that was NOM 1974. It was pretty good, though.
The NOM 75 is pretty good for what it is. Though, actually, right now, if you want to get a Neo Geo, I would actually say hold off and get yourself a Mister. and just grab the old Neo Geo X Gold controllers, and that will get you very, very, very close, closer than anything else to a Neo Geo arcade board or the AES.
Yeah, I've seen those gold controllers on like AliExpress and other things like that.
The controllers were good. The system was not. The system was absolute jank.
Yeah, that's what I heard. This running version of Final Burn. Ah, speaking of which, I did finally see that arcade system that Capcom put out running that variant of Final Burn Alpha. That arcade, like, it's not a mini, but it's of a similar concept. Looks like shit. It's basically the Capcom logo.
Yeah, there's nothing mini about it. It's big.
I'm not really sure why they thought that was a good idea.
The controllers and buttons are actually Sanwas. They're actually pretty solid. I'm not too big on the four-way gate, but that's just me being a picky bastard.
And I have no idea what that is.
Well, you have an arcade stick, you either have a four-way or an eight-way gate. Eight-way gates are a little bit better for fighting games. Four-way gates are a little bit better for games like Pac-Man, Xevious, Mosconian.
Also, those things are massively expensive as well.
Yeah, I would wait to pick one of those up if you have plans to. Though, oddly enough, the At-Games arcade cabinets through Walmart's and Sam's Club actually are hacking out pretty well. I would still wait, but not looking bad.
I've seen some of those. I've considered that. But finding room for any of that stuff is not an easy prospect. I've not played the Half-Life 2 M-Mod. I'm not even really sure what that is.
I have to wait till the Steam controller gets in and give it a go.
Oh yeah, they discontinued the Steam controller.
Yeah, but they also put up a patent 4 months ago with another controller type based off it, which I have a feeling there's going to be a 2.0 here very soon.
I just can never get.
Personally, love mine.
I never can get it to work though. I've tried to get that thing to work on many occasions, and I get the same issue where it just completely ruins all my controls.
You should just ask me sometime.
I did! And nothing we did worked!
Oh.
Literally nothing. It's like
you have a fresh install now.
See, the one-up arcades, I can't quite get my head around because I don't like the zippy buttons and sticks they use.
The Valve Index VR controllers are pretty amazing, but they're mucho dinero.
Yeah, I'm not
that being said, I suppose I'm probably the pickiest person here when it comes to arcade controls because he used to work for Namco.
Yeah, because for me, it's my first ever real arcade controller was a 360 controller, so yeah. And I was pretty happy to have that. When I discovered MAME, it's like, I can just use the 360 controller, I don't have to buy one now! And then it died, and then I was stuck with a crappy Logitech that was not very good. And yet, that cheapo Logitech that I got all those years ago still works, somehow. Whereas I've had multiple 360 controllers die on me, along with 2 other Logitech controllers. How does that make sense? I do not know.
I'm using my flight yoke here and my steering wheel. My flight yoke is coming on to 20 years old.
Wow.
My God, we're old.
3D Connection Space Mouse I use is 20 years old.
Oh, you can tear pulse machine guns off. And Techstorm, technically, Halo 2 did that first. Not Wolfenstein. Although I bet Halo 2 didn't do it first, but we're going to pretend it did. Halo 2. That is a game I'm going to be reviewing at some point, either next year or the next, I'm not sure which. Because that is a game that either is mediocre or is outright bad. I'm not sure which.
Little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It wasn't bad, but it was rushed. And it was rushed in the weirdest way because they had to rebuild the entire damn thing.
And you can kind of tell that, especially if you look at the original like E3 footage, but I'm just not sure when it comes to Halo 2 if it's not mediocre, then what exactly is it? Because I feel like it was sort of a proto-COD more than anything else. And the reason I say that is because it has, regenerative health. It has that 2-weapon... Well, Halo 1 had the 2-weapon rule, but still. It has regenerative health, massive focus on cinematics, and I got completely eradicated.
Well, the earliest proto-COD is really Half-Life.
Oh, you're going to get attacked for that.
No, I'm not, because I can prove it. All the scripted sequences, all the linearity, it's really Half-Life. It's where they got the idea from.
I'm glad I'm not a big fan of Half-Life then. I never could really get into it. I've played it with Rage, and I enjoyed it well enough, but I never got into Half-Life. So it's Half-Life. It's Gubbin that destroyed first-person shooters.
No. Destroyed first-person shooters it literally is COD, and now it's the PUBG and Fortnite genre. The pseudo battle royale. The over-reliance on scripting didn't help, but I can't point to Gaben for ruining anything other than not being able to count to 3.
Oh.
Well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe Alex will spawn off in the game. Whatever.
They can't, not unless not unless Alex is to become the new direction for Half-Life.
Damn.
Well, she is more of an interesting character.
Well, in that she actually has a character. She's the only character.
Oh no, she's not the only character, but Gordon's a tabula rasa. He's a complete blank slate.
I don't know. I personally love the original game, Opposing Force, and the fan remake of Black Mesa. Half-Life 2 is just okay. It doesn't get good until episode 2, and then it ends on a cliffhanger.
Well, yeah, it's objectively worse than Half-Life 1, and compared to mods, it's not good. The mods for Half-Life 2, the SDK were great. The mods for Half-Life 1 and its SDK were great, but this is going to sound like the pot calling the kettle black, and it kind of is. From being an old school id fan, Half-Life is just a really nice tech demo. That's all Half-Life has been.
Not gonna argue that. It's true.
Ooh, we got a globule launcher. Okay, so far I've got to say this game is pretty good, but not as good as Dusk. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but it just doesn't feel quite as good as Dusk. I mean, the level design's pretty basic. The enemies aren't anything special. Dusk, I feel, is just a little more polished than this game. Now, this is just like an early access build, but so far I'm not amazed by this. I mean, it's fun, but it's not wowing me like Dusk did. It just feels a little generic, to be perfectly honest.
Well, it's because they're working within the constraints of the source code of Quake.
Is it actually being built off the original Quake engine?
Well, it's being used in a new interpreter, but the source code is essentially almost all Quake.
Huh. Very interesting, then. I mean, this is still not bad, though. I want to be sure to specify this is not bad. I mean, I enjoy this a lot more than, say, Painkiller or Serious Sam or something like that. But it's just not... It lacks a wow factor for me right now. I'm definitely glad I have it, but I just feel like there needs to be a little bit more, for want of a better word, special sauce. Right now it's just...
there's plenty of room to add it, but right now it's just proof of concept, playable.
And it definitely is playable. I mean, it's definitely a lot of fun, but just... They need special sauce. They need something there just to give it a little more originality. I think in the first level, they need a little more, something to draw the player in a little bit more, because, like, snow levels are just boring, and it's just not really... If you look at the first couple levels of Dusk, those are much more impressive than this. And this is just...
Well, Dusk has some interesting concepts because it's being made in Unity, meaning there's actually a lot of possibility there. People give Unity a lot of flack, but they don't understand you can do a lot with it.
It certainly looks that way. I think there's just so many asset flips that people have kind of lost faith in that particular engine. Which is sad, but yeah.
Oh, you can go everything from first-person shooter to, you know, complex strategy game. Best case example I can ever give to Unity being a really big boon is City Skylines. People always forget that was made on Unity.
That is utterly insane. You mentioned that before, and I always forget about that. Speaking of special sauce, InRange just put out a video a couple weeks ago on the What Would Stoner Do Carbine 2.0, which I don't know. It's like InRange trying to become like a new think tank or something. That seems
no, they're just basically developing something they really wanted to make. Now, you want to talk the real think tank, it's Brownells, because Brownells is footing the bills with KE Arms to get it done.
It's like, that's almost like science fiction level, because like they're making super light, super accurate carbines. It's utterly insane.
Well, we kind of had it. I mean, the original SP1 and the original M16s, before you got the barrels hot, were actually quite accurate. And now you've got, you know, Fostech, who's they're actually doing really good work. I mean, you got Fostech, you've got KE Arms, Faxon, who's doing the barrels. They're doing exceptional work. I'm actually considering a couple of their barrels for a few builds later on.
Yeah, it seems like the AR is still growing. I think what's kind of funny about public perception of the AR is they're still kind of like, for many in the public, it's like they're stuck in the past thinking it's sort of like the same rifle from 60 years ago. Which it really isn't, in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, the same function, but definitely not the same form, and definitely not the same capabilities. It's grown. It's not just the AR-15, it's the SR-25, AR-10. That's really taken off.
I'd like to have some reason to get an AR-10, but alas, I do not.
Well, when up until like 2017, actually, let me amend that. 2017 for the tech specs, 2019 for the optimization. Up until that time, your best option was literally to pay, you know, $4,000+ on an SR-25 and call it good.
Ugh.
These days, you can spend far less and achieve far better than that SR-25.
And it's kind of interesting how a lot of these previously really expensive firearms are now pretty cheap. Because, like, I remember the AR used to be a very expensive platform.
It still is. The only reason it's gotten cheap is because of one concept, that's called economy of scale.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that a while back. Because, like, I remember back when I was a kid, I think, like, do you know of, like, any other companies that produced ARs, like, circa the early 2000s, or was it just Colt? Because that's all I ever saw.
You had Colt's Manufacturing was the big one, and you had Bushmaster, because, you know, for a long time there, Colt wouldn't sell to the public. To get a Colt rifle through a gun shop meant the gun shop had to buy in a large lot and kind of almost lie to Colt saying, yeah, we're selling this to police.
No wonder they charged $2,000 for those bloody things.
Well, the Bushmasters weren't cheap either, but this is back when Bushmaster still meant something. It was back when they were Wyndham based. They're out of Wyndham, Maine.
That's so weird to me that a lot of these major gun manufacturers are still located, you know, in municipalities where there's a lot of really restrictive laws, where I think people who actually live there can't even buy the guns they manufacture.
Yeah, if you're in any distance to the Colt factory, you're not buying their guns. But then again, nowadays, no one's buying their guns except for the U.S. military and several law enforcement departments. And that contract's going to end very, very soon.
Yeah, I saw the video on that. I still would like to get that charging handle Colt used in the early 2000s. I do not.
Nodex Spud makes it.
I don't know what it's called though. I imagine it's some sort of specific kind.
No, it's the triangle charging handle. You can get that through Nodex Spud for like $30.
I may need to get that. Just because it was more ambidextrous than the one I have on mine. And I quite like that little prong design, assuming I'm thinking of the right thing.
Well, these days you can just go with. There are several options. You got the ATXS. You've got Geisley, which is expensive, but really, really nice. You've got BCM, which is what I use. No, I don't use the new ambidextrous model. I use the oversized Mod 3. And for ambidextrous, you also have Strike Industries, and I'm trying to think. PRI just recently released an ambidextrous version of their gas buster this year.
Okay. I haven't actually noticed. Well, then I've never shot my AR suppressed, but any gas blowback or anything.
No, you generally won't, not unless you run suppressed.
No.
In which case, you shoot. You shoot suppressed with AR. You quickly learn to love the gas buster, or you break out the fireproof silicone and you modify your own charging handle.
Yeah. Now, I did just recently pick up an AK, and I'm going to do some video work on that, but I'm going to mention in the first shots, well, it's actually going to be technically second shots, that never go to the range when you're in a hurry and you're already tired, because you'll be wasting ammo and money on that. Because I did that, and oh dear, nothing was hit. I didn't. Actually, no. I hit the target, but it was high to the left, and I never was able to get it sighted in right.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to do that half awake and in the dark, and yeah.
No, you got to learn the muscle memory before you can do that effectively. And tech, starter prototypes are actually really good. Brownells has been kind of knocking it out of the park.
Let's see, where the hell? And this map design is this is just too boring. I mean, it's just a gray, snow-covered castle. It just doesn't really pop out, and it gets kind of monotonous. And a map function would be nice. I don't know why first-person shooters went away from having a map. I mean, you had that in Doom, you had it in Heretic, Hexen. You needed it in Hexen. You know, I don't think Quake had a map though. I don't remember if it did or not.
Quake did have a map function. Thing is, for most modern shooters, you don't need it because it's so linear. But for shooters like this, yeah, it's kind of nice to have it.
Because, yeah, it's like, it's all a gray castle, so finding my way back to that door now that I have the red key, or the red glyph, it's going to be a lot of backtracking. I mean, backtracking isn't always bad, but that was one of my issues with games like Dark Forces. There was some backtracking, and there was some very confusing level design. That prison level, oh dear! That prison
I think Quake
level.
did, Vulcan. I could be mistaken, because it's been a while since I fired up Quake, to be absolutely honest. I'll be firing it up as soon as the controller gets here, because I want to see how that fares.
Oh, you shot a Soviet-made AK. I can't imagine there'd be that much difference between a Soviet one and a American one. Because I picked up
the Saiga-based ones were good.
Depends on if it was like a Type 1 or 2 or something along those lines. And I have not played the Doom 3 port for Xbox One or PS4 because I don't own any consoles. Because I literally have no need for a console. If there's like a console game I want to play, I can just emulate it. Well, depending upon which console. It's kind of like I wanted to get a Switch so I could play Breath of the Wild, but I can just emulate that, and it's going to run better. And there's mods, and all the rest. The only thing I might get is a PS4. I might get that just to play Bloodborne. But it's not going to be for a while, just because mainly just do PC stuff. Don't get crushed by the elevator.
Tech, you can actually get a wood furnitured AR from Wyndham Weaponry. Not too much heavier than the standard AR.
Speaking of wood, the AK I got is just all Magpul, but the wood version of their AK is like, I think $100 more, and to me it just was not worth that.
No, it's only for the collector's market.
You should never start a sentence speaking of wood.
Speaking of wood.
Hey, every time I think about that AK, it's just like that forged, bolt just gets me right in the never mind.
Yeah.
Right in the feels.
I think I like the ergonomics of the
General Lotz is the tent pitcher.
Hey, it just depends on what I'm looking at. Either A, it's Hitomi, or B, it's the AK. I don't know which.
He gets wood and then he murders.
What if Hitomi had an AK?
I have a butter for violence. That's an old joke from like Red versus Blue.
Red versus Blue. My God, that must be old.
Just for sheer giggles and because it would cause so much controversy amongst the permanently offended crowd, might as well start writing up a comic called Violence Boner.
Violence Boner.
Gee, let's make that a movie.
That sounds like.
Well, I could probably turn it into a movie, but I don't have the money to make a movie. I can make a comic book.
That sounds like a 90s anti-hero.
Oh my God. So just start off with a guy having problems, like he just can't, and then he discovers, oh God.
Oh, yeah, just something absolutely horrible. Something that you'd see on an imprint of, some indie comics weirdness.
Just make it like a drama film.
11.
Like Punisher 2099. And yeah, that is a PSA that I picked up. It's pretty nice, actually. Don't get crushed by the elevator! It's pretty nice.
Actually, if you want to watch a funny obscure, messed up trailer, watch the trailer for Troma's Combat Shock. They say that 12 times in the trailer. Combat Shock! Like his baby's all mutated and stuff. It's just...
Well, Troma movies are good like that. They're absolutely the creme de la creme of the sleaze.
Yeah, it's definitely trashy Rambo.
Oh yeah, I got my goo gun that allows me to ejaculate all over my enemies. Now, eventually this weekend, I'm actually going to watch Never Say Never Again, because I watched a YouTube video on that. Well, listened to a YouTube video on it earlier in the week. There's a scene in that film where James Bond is fighting... I guess I should explain that Never Say Never Again is an unofficial James Bond movie. Basically, there were some rights issues, and the writer of Thunderball was able to use the characters in Thunderball and the plot of it, and so they remade it. And it was supposed to potentially be a competitor with the Aeon-produced James Bond movies, but they just made the one. It got pretty popular because they brought back Sean Connery, but I explained all that to explain this. Apparently, James Bond's urine is acidic, because in one of the fights, he literally throws his urine in someone's face, and I think either A, melts their face off, or B, just kind of stuns them, something like that. It's like, what the hell is he drinking? What is in that martini? Battery acid?
Well, if we're going by the book James Bond, it's a lot of scotch.
It's like, was it cut with battery acid or something? How does your urine melt someone's face off? I find the AK a little more comfortable than the AR in some respects.
But I'll never get kidney stones, though.
I guess that could
No, just burn right through them.
He shoots those out like mini fireballs.
He screams Hadouken after,
in a Scottish accent.
I'm not even going to try. Although I did have someone comment that I sounded something like Sean Connery. I'm not really sure why, because I don't have a Scottish brogue in any way, shape, or form. Oh, one good thing about the PSA is you do not have to get one of those Krebs enhanced safeties, because you can actually move the safety lever with one finger. So that's good, at least. So that saves you $50 right there. One thing I'm going to mention in the first shots is I did read that some of those side mount scope rails don't fit on it, but upon further research, evidently there was a batch that had really thin rails. The one I had doesn't have any problems at all, so it just depends. Let's see. I will keep going for another like 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna get off. I didn't know I was going on this long. I guess this game is better than I thought.
It's got a hook. It could use some work, but it's got a hook.
Yeah. I think if this had been released... Well, we'll just have to see what the final product is. It's a lot of fun in terms of gameplay, but presentation, it does leave a little bit to be desired, though. Because, like, if you compare this to another one of those retro-ish games, like a Medieval. A Medieval is a very beautiful game, despite being, you know, pixelated. This just seems kind of flat in comparison to that. It's kind of interesting. This has better looking graphics than Dusk, but not as good a graphics as a Medieval, and so it falls into kind of like a middle ground. But the gameplay, I think, is fully worth the price of admission. Because the gameplay
There's a little bit more they could do with lighting, but the poly counts are really good.
And the weapons are good as well. I mean, the goo gun I quite like. This actually reminds me of an Unreal Tournament weapon, if I'm not mistaken.
GES Biorifle?
Yeah, that's the one. Now, Unreal is something I need to review at some point. Because that doesn't really get mentioned much. At least not as much as it should. Now, I really think
you want to talk a game that's missing the special sauce. The last Unreal Tournament, that missed the point.
Yeah, I never played that.
Well, you won't get the chance to. Nobody can.
Oh, it's one of those online-only things, then?
Pretty much. It's dead, Jim.
Well, that's annoying. I'm sure there's probably some sort of bootleg server that'll probably come out at some point. Kind of like with Star Wars Galaxies. And that's
Fortnite killed it.
Oh, Fortnite. Evidently I sound British. I don't...
No.
Yeah, it's like... I don't think I have
If you can work contact with a Brit, you don't sound British.
Yeah, British like Dick Van Dyke doing a British accent.
You know, I do not know what his fake British accent sounds like, but now I kind of want to hear it. Or British in the same way that Kevin Costner has a British accent.
Oh shit! I have to censor myself. Bleep Van Bleep. Sorry about that.
No, you don't. Remember, if you don't censor yourself, then this will probably get marked for children.
Yeah, so you can dick it all up all you want. Let's see, that reminded me of something. Oh yeah, there's another film that I recommend, and that's Dragonheart. So I listened to a video on that this past week as well.
I am the last.
That is a classic, if ever there was one. I mean, it's not a particularly good film, but it's great.
No, it got panned to hell when it was released, but it was still pretty
I had
fun.
a discussion about that movie the other day, actually. Funny enough.
Well, great minds think alike. So what's Dragonheart, you might ask? Well, god damn it.
It's
Yeah,
that.
exactly. I think the discussion was dragon movies in general. Okay, are you going to explain what Dragonheart's about, or do you want us to explain?
Yeah, I was going to explain. Just because I have a hilarious way of explaining it. So, basically, Sean Connery's a dragon, and he befriends... Was it Kevin Costner, or was it somebody else? I think it was Kevin Costner. I think it was. Basically, he befriends Kevin Costner, and they go around... he's the dragon that will attack a village, and then Kevin Costner will come in and slay him. So it's sort of like a send-up of another classic movie whose name I no longer remember. It's surprisingly good. Also, Sean Connery is a CG dragon. A 90s CG dragon, but you have to look that horrible. I mean,
It's Dennis Quaid.
Oh. Quaid.
I'm not Quaid. Oh, sorry, wrong movie.
Get your ass to Mars.
So, it's not Kevin Costner. So basically, he befriends Dennis Quaid. There we go. And yeah, it just kind of pal around for a while. The villain is a really kind of a pissant, but yeah, what do you expect?
I think they made like 3 sequels to that too.
3?
Which
oh
were
yeah,
not
they did.
needed. They were not good.
I remember that from the video.
It's like making a sequel to a medieval version of Maverick. You don't do it.
I'm from Denmark. DVKS. What's the temperature in Denmark? Because I imagine it's winter at this point. It's probably snowing or something. Snowing with a chance of Vikings. Yes, it's the best joke you can get after me being up since 4 in the morning. And unrelated to Dragons or Kevin Costner, I hate it when I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning and wake up at 4 and can't go back to sleep. So I miss out on a precious 30 minutes of sleep. It's just horrible.
So, Dragonheart, then A New Beginning, Sorcerer's Curse, Battle for the Heartfire, and Vengeance, which didn't come out, I guess, or did come out in 2019.
Yeah, after the first movie, they started resembling more like the Dungeons and Dragons movie in terms of quality.
Not that movie. I don't know what they were thinking with that.
They weren't. They were basically channeling away Bull's worst nightmares.
Did D&D ever get a good movie? I know there was an animated version of one of the Dragons books from Dragonlance. But I think that was it.
Honestly, just read the books.
Waterfall!
The Great Heart.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's all you.
I was going to talk about a different movie. I was going to say, did you ever see Dragon Slayer?
I have it, but I've never actually watched it. It's one of those movies I always think about watching, but never do.
I haven't seen it forever, but I remember it being pretty good. Kind of a classic movie.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that the one where, like, the film starts up and, like, there's this woman chained to a wagon and the dragon comes and eats her? I think that...
Yeah, you know, for kids.
Yeah, that always freaked me out as
Dragon
a kid, though.
babies. Yeah.
Hey, back then kids could take it. These days they can't.
No.
Artec, no! I'm sorry, I think of a never-ending story.
You know, I've never actually seen that. I didn't even see that when I was a kid.
You should watch the original.
I'm not looking forward to the remake, because I'm sure it'll probably be utter crap.
No, I'm just saying don't watch the sequels.
Oh. There are sequels to that? Well, I guess it's a never-ending story.
Just pretend they don't have sequels, trust me.
Yeah, the original's worth watching. The rest of them are worth avoiding.
It's like, I know the pop culture of that, where, like, it's the flying fox dragon thing. Dragon fox?
I know it's a hairy dragon, but it's a dragon.
I've got a hairy dragon. Never mind.
Ironically, helped inspire, you know, a certain part of Space Harrier, which is interesting in its own right.
Lotz, we don't need to know about your bad dragon.
Dragons. Most of the time they're villains, but I like the Sean Connery dragon.
Depends.
Oh no, a horrible thing popped in my head. I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh god, just do it. Just do it. We gotta make sure it's not for kids, so we don't get fined 42,000.
Like, what was the dragon's name in Dragonheart?
I think it was Draco, maybe?
Oh. It's like, coming soon, the Draco dildo.
Oh god.
Probably already exists, though.
You know, that probably does exist. Actually, I got the perfect thing. Okay, it's the Draco dildo, and every time it vibrates, it shouts out a Sean Connery line.
Look, if it doesn't exist, I can wire it up.
I think I just buy that for the novelty. Oh my god. Oh, yes, I'm Sean Connery. Just put James Bond quotes from the Sean Connery Bond film.
Oh god,
Sean Connery Jeopardy quotes.
No. Every time you turn it on, it says, shaken, not stood.
No!
The sad part is, this would not be hard for me to wire up. All I'd have to do is just grab a small soundboard and have somebody record the clips they want on it. I can make it happen.
Yeah,
And then when
oh my god.
when you're finished, it says, you're the man now, dog.
Oh god.
That-
No.
So, when am I making this happen?
Sure, why not? As long as we get some of the profit.
Coming soon to Etsy, the Sean Connery Dragon Dildo. Feeling lonely tonight? Let Sean Connery get you off. Only $29.95. Oh yeah, I already got Terminator Resistance. It's pretty good, but it doesn't actually run as well as you would think. Well, it doesn't run that well. If I play it in 1080, I get like 48 frames per second. But if I play it in... I've had a number of new games I've got that don't work particularly... Well, they work well, but like they work weird. If I play them in 2K, I get better performance than when I play them in 1080. I don't know why. Star Wars does the same thing. Terminator Resistance, I actually had to uninstall Steam VR because every time I launched that game, Steam VR would launch. It would utterly tank the frame rate. I have no idea what's causing that.
As for Alien 3 Resurrection, they're okay movies on their own, but the reason I don't like them so much is it killed the chance for us to get Aliens Earth Hive.
Well, that and they're also shitty movies. Well, I actually rate Resurrection higher than Alien 3 because I feel like Alien 3 is a plotting, soggy mess. Basically, to get through that, you need the Sean Connery dildo.
Sean Connery Dragon. Oh god.
Terminator.
Money out.
Sad part is, like I say, when do you want me to make this happen? Because I can get a soundboard for it. Getting a linear, vibrator is not a hard thing to get. That's a part component you can get out of a busted controller.
Wait, we gotta stop talking about this. Somebody will steal our idea.
Yeah, of course, then they can't find good Sean Connery clips, so what they get is clips from Johnny English.
No, they get Sean Bean quotes.
Lotz, we're gonna make you do the Sean Connery voice, so it's not gonna sound right, but we gotta do it for the cool reason. You can't actually use Sean Connery voice clips.
Oh, God. I don't know if I want to do that. Shaken, not stirred. Terminator Resistance is not an MMO, rather it is a Fallout-styled RPG. But it's way better than Fallout 4, and definitely better.
Alien 3 and 4 go. I think Resurrection is dumb fun. They said 200 years later, so I didn't mess with the canon. It's goofy, it's silly, it's fine. Some of the dialogue is cheesy, but meh, whatever. Brad Dourif.
The good thing about Resurrection is you see.
The scenery. Huh?
The good thing about Resurrection is that shot on the basketball court. Yeah, that was done in one take.
Yeah, I read about that. That is pretty good.
It's fun. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's corny, but whatever.
It is a quintessential 90s movie. But I'll never forget...
The scene with the clones is pretty awesome, though. Fucked up, though.
Well, one kind of hilarious memory I have of Alien Resurrection is we were out at my grandparents' land, and we had rented that to watch, at night. And my mother had never seen it, but I had, and she actually got, kind of sick from the birthing scene. It's like, what?
I think the getting sucked in a small hole would have been worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. That birthing scene was pretty bad, though.
The movie is insane. I mean, the chest burster scene where he's beating the guy's head and puts his head in his
it's very French.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that it's very Euro.
It kind of felt like a insane comic book version come to life in some respects. But as far as Alien 3 goes, they tried to kill the franchise. It didn't work.
It's kind of like Terminator. Apparently, Dark Fate is bad, but one of the big problems.
Dark Fate is terrible.
Well,
that's an insult to watch.
The biggest problem I have with modern day Terminator is they keep killing off John Connor. They killed him off in Terminator Genesis, and they killed him off in this, and it's like, wasn't John Connor supposed to be like one of the big characters? Like he's important. Why do you keep killing him? And then evidently he's not important now, because I read the plot synopsis. Apparently he's not...
It's kind of sad, because supposedly Eddie Furlong is clean. And I think it would have been more interesting actually just basing John Connor off his actual life. Have a John Connor that's fucked up. Like, he realizes he's not going to become the Resistance leader. But he's still suffering, traumatic nightmares and shit.
Yeah.
Have him be the resistance leader, but have him be very human, where this is a massive weight on his shoulders.
Right. They kind of explored that in the TV series, where they explained that all this shit that was happening, all this time travel stuff was like screwing up John, like changing him from the leader he's supposed to be, putting so much pressure and stress on him.
Well, they kind of did that with Terminator 3, although I feel like they made him too much of a whiny bitch. I mean, I get it, but, you know, it's like... And then you can't take, you know, Catherine Brewster in hand-to-hand. It's like, you can't take... It's like, you can't take some random untrained woman, but you can fight a Terminator, really? I don't know.
Oh, the action scenes and shooting scenes in Bad Fate. I'm not going to... really should be calling it Bad Faith, because, good lord, they're painful to watch. I mean, you're going to have a 124-pound sopping wet woman. I mean, literally, she's not 124 pounds dry, wielding a DP-12, and you can tell from every last shoot, from every last angle, the weapon is uncomfortable for her, and she looks like she's completely untrained. It's because she is completely untrained.
I think I saw a video talking about that. Although I forget who was talking... Oh, I think it was a Forgotten Weapons thing, talking about that scene with the DP-12.
He's not wrong. At all.
So...
It's a 12-pound shotgun before you load the shells.
That's where you need a powered exoskeleton. I think we just finished up the entire first episode. I think that's all there is. I don't know what this area is supposed to be for. Alright, well, we've been going an hour and 21 minutes, so I'm actually going to park my character so I don't drown. And I'll read the chat off, and then I'm going to get off and go watch some Never Say Never Again, and see James Bond melt somebody's face off with his own urine.
What? Oh, I thought we were watching Cobra.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I might just watch that afterwards then. The Fifth Element. Now that is a film. That is basically the unofficial Duke Nukem film in my eyes, just because Bruce Willis looks a lot like Duke Nukem, he acts a lot like Duke Nukem, you know?
I'll be back, Colin.
And actually, he actually starred in a PlayStation 1 shooter, not the Fifth Element shooter, avoid that, which was actually pretty good. Apocalypse. Check it out if you can. It's pretty much Contra.
Yeah, I've actually played that game. It is quite excellent, but very 90s. I'm going to review that when I get the chance. I actually can stream that at some point as well, because it's pretty bloody good. It's weird in that, like, the face buttons actually shoot in different directions, which I don't think any other game tried that.
You kind of do. You got the Robotron on certain consoles that does that. Like, Robotron 64 does that.
I don't know if Demolition Man is close enough to Duke Nukem, though, because that's not really... Well, it's in the future, but he's not fighting aliens. Demolition Man's kind of a hilarious film to look at today, though, because, like, so much of that can really apply to today with the hyper-PC culture.
If Taco Bell ever becomes the last restaurant, just call me George Smiley, because I'm not taking it anymore.
It's like, and they outlawed sex. I mean, how can you do that? That's the cruelest thing. Not even Mao did that!
No, but Xi Jinping's coming pretty darn close.
Now that's a mess. All I can say is, here's hoping HK can survive. See, that's one of those things where that actually makes the British look good, which is a very rare thing.
Well, here's the thing. When the UK, when rule Britannia was still very much a thing, HK actually took very good care of their colonies. The only colony they have left, really, is technically Nepal, and that's a huge technicality there. And they try to take good care of their people.
Which is definitely up from previous centuries. Now, I wonder why England gave back Hong Kong. I'm assuming they did that because they didn't really have much of a choice.
Well, they gave it back in '97 simply because that was the end of the contract. They had it for over 100 years. It was a case of, okay, we wrote into the clause that in 97 we'll hand it over. They should have basically looked at the contract and said, nope, we're keeping it.
Yeah, that probably would have been for the best, especially for the people living there, but...
That could have caused war, but it was one of those cases that they probably should have gone to the UN and said, hey, we're doing really good here. These people are really happy. Can we just extend it for another 100 years?
But that's the thing. It's way too close to the PRC, and I'm not... I do not see them just letting the British do that. It's like... The Brits have decent enough technology, but they had, like, what, no aircraft carriers at that point? I don't think they have any today. I think they're, like, working
They
on
have 3.
But do they actually work at this point?
Yeah, they're functional. They're not up to standard. They're up to, like, 1970 standards.
So... Let's see. I'll continue playing this till Rage gets back.
I'm back.
Oh, you're back. Okay, good.
People forget that in the 1980s, those carriers had to be used. I mean, you had the Argentinian War.
Yeah, it's something that's always kind of interesting to look at. The Empire Strikes Back. So... All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the first episode. There's actually 2 episodes, I think, with this initial early access release. The first episode's pretty good. The gameplay is definitely there, but the presentation isn't yet. The presentation needs a little more special sauce to it, but the gameplay is spot on. I mean, it's kind of like playing Doom almost. I just get right in the zone. It's like, I'm not even tired. Usually with some of these games, I'm like dragging it like 30 minutes in. Now I'm just shooting and talking. It's like, it's got the special sauce for gameplay, needs more presentation work.
Really want to see what modders can do with it.
Now that'll be interesting. They might be able to fix the graphics a little more. Alright.
Well, a lot of the problem can be fixed with lighting.
I didn't think about that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am General Lotz. Actually, wait, hold on. I will actually answer the question here. The episode 3 discussion will probably sometime in 2020, just because I do not have time to devote to that, because, well, job. So anyway, I'm General Lotz.
I'm Radic.
I'm Rage Going.
And we will see you next time.